I am glad to inform Kenyans that the government initiatives geared towards improving our economy are bearing fruits. Top on this initiative has been our investment in agriculture through improvement of the priority value chains, subsidizing production materials such as fertilizers, certified seeds, and provision of other farm inputs, of which have now geared towards us closer to food security. If you can remember, President William Ruto's administration came to power at a time when food imports to Kenya had spiraled from 10 to 17% of all the good imports, and that's a lot of money. In essence, this increase in the country's vulnerability to global food supply chains and shocks, and as a government, we have had to come up with measures to turn around the situation by intentionally prioritizing agriculture as a number one pillar of the better plan, because 80% of all of the jobs in Kenya are from this sector. We are faced with a situation where 54% of household expenditure for Kenyans goes towards buying food, and thus the government found it wise to work out modalities of lowering food prices as a first measure towards lowering the cost of living. For instance, in 2022, we imported maize worth Kenya shillings 10 billion, but thereafter we have become maize sufficient, saving ourselves the much needed foreign exchange. We require 4 million bags of maize every month, and now we have a reserve of 95 million bags as a result. That can actually take us to 23.1 or so months. So you can see, we can actually stay for 2 years now, consuming the maize that is in the country. That's extremely important from a situation where we were actually, importing and subsidizing unga at a cost of 4 billion a month. Reassuringly, as a testament to our efforts in this sector, we now have enough maize stockpiles, which we are having enough sugar as well, and the price of basic food items has steadily gone down, where, for example, a packet maize flour is about 100 shillings. This is a 3-year low, and our inflation rate is on an 18-year low of 2.7%. And to sustain this momentum, the government has, in preparation for the upcoming long rains, secured a consignment of 5.6 million bags of subsidized fertilizers, which will be available to farmers through the National Cereals and Produce Board, NCPB. This initiative is aimed at making the farm inputs affordable for enhanced agricultural productivity across the country, ultimately contributing to food security. In addition to the fertilizers, the government is also rolling out a seed and seedling program to support farmers to cultivating high-yielding crops. Now let's turn our focus on the livestock value chains and vaccination. The livestock subsector also looks promising, and the government is putting extra effort to fully exploit it to the benefits of the over 10 million livestock keepers in the country, in acknowledgement of the critical role this subsector plays in the country's economy. May I assure Kenyans that this year marks the beginning of even greater reforms in the subsector which contributes about 12% of our GDP. We cannot ignore this. And about 50% of the agricultural GDP to full potential. It also employs 50% of agricultural labor and supports over 60% of Kenyan households. So you cannot ignore the livestock sector in this country whatsoever. 12% of the GDP, 50% of the agricultural GDP, and 60% of the jobs within the agricultural value chain. So you can see that is really, really critical going forward. So anyone who is trying to sabotage this program is essentially sabotaging the economy of the country to the detriment of the attainment of the promises that this administration made to Kenyans in the social contract, and therefore really setting up such failure as the Achilles heels of the president, and that we cannot allow. There is reported foot and mouth disease, FMD, outbreaks in Kakamega, West Pokot, and Trans Nzoia counties. The outbreak in Trans Nzoia were reported in November 2024 in Cherangani, Kwanza, Kiminini, Saboti, and Endebess sub-counties. Samples were taken and submitted to the National FMD Referral Laboratory for an analysis where type O serotype was isolated. The outbreak was later reported in Chepareria area of West Pokot County in January of 2025, whilst the reported cases in Kakamega were in Chinyaru and Marava sub-counties. The Kakamega outbreak was diagnosed clinically and is awaiting laboratory confirmation. The government has invoked control measures as stipulated in the Animal Disease Control Act, Cap 364, in order to control and manage these outbreaks. A quarantine has consequently been imposed on the movement of the animals in the affected areas to prevent further spread of the disease. Additionally, Chinyaru and Lubao livestock markets in Kakamega County, Chepareria livestock market in West Pokot County, and Sikhendu and Sibanga livestock markets in Trans Nzoia County have been closed indefinitely. You know very well Lubao is very well known for livestock the selling, buying and selling of livestock, including dogs there. The ring vaccination is being carried out in these areas ahead of the national vaccination exercise to be launched by very soon, to be launched by the Ministry of Agriculture very soon. In Kakamega County, 2,500 heads of cattle, 200 sheep and goats, and 19 pigs have been vaccinated, while the veterinary department in Trans Nzoia County has received 4,000 doses of the FMD vaccine and plans to roll out the vaccination in due course, even as farmers are being encouraged to also continue vaccinating their flocks privately. The FMD is a highly contagious viral infection disease causing substantial losses in milk production, reproduction, and growth, while peste de petit ruminant affects sheep and goats, whose infection rates is up to 90% with a mortality rate of up to 70%. So this PPR, peste de petit ruminant, is very, very dangerous. So we have to really work out on it. The perennial livestock disease outbreaks in the country is a major setback to the livestock subsector, as it threatens not only the health of millions of animals, but also the livelihoods of farmers and the broader economy. To avert this, the government is in the final stages to roll out a vaccination livestock vaccination program nationally. And so therefore, we really need to ask you Kenyans to join us in this. This program is essential in considering that the recurrent outbreaks of the disease such as FMD, lumpy skin disease, pneumonia, anthrax, and the PPR have hindered farmers from fully exploiting the lucrative European and Middle Eastern export market. So you can see what we are missing here. It's a multi-million-dollar industry, and we already are manufacturing the vaccine of FMD here, including this one for peste de petit ruminant, PPR. We are all doing them here. So what is the need here? Why do people not want to access this market in Europe and in the Middle East? You see very well about a week or so ago, the president signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with UAE. And for example, meat and vegetables market is over 20.8 billion worth. So you can imagine if that money is coming to people here, they will be more rich, they will be more independent. So you can see the economic sabotage, the saboteurs who do not want us to move forward as a country.